My name is Emily Carter, and if anyone had told me years ago that I would one day regret marrying the man I loved more than life itself, I would have called them cruel, because when I married Ethan, I believed I was stepping into forever. I thought love was a promise, something that would never fade, never break. I thought he was my home. We met in a small cafe in New York City on a rainy afternoon. He walked in, drenched and smiling, with the kind of charm that drew attention without even trying. I was sitting in a corner, sketching designs for my architecture class, when he asked if he could share my table. I looked up, and before I could even respond, he was already sitting across from me, apologizing for intruding. His voice was soft, his laughter effortless, and by the time the rain stopped, we were already lost in conversation. Ethan was everything I never knew I needed: funny, patient, full of dreams. He made ordinary things feel magical. We would spend hours talking about life, love, and the kind of future people only build in daydreams. When he said he loved me, I believed him completely. He looked at me like I was the only person in the world who mattered. When he proposed 2 years later, under a sky filled with fairy lights, I cried. I thought that night would be the beginning of forever. Our wedding was small, simple, beautiful. He held my hands during the vows and whispered, "I'll never stop loving you." I still remember how my heart fluttered when he said that. If I close my eyes even now, I can still hear his voice, the way he looked at me like love itself. For a while, everything felt perfect. Our apartment was small, but full of laughter. We'd cook dinner together, burn the food sometimes, then laugh it off. He'd dance with me barefoot in the kitchen, kiss my forehead, and tell me how lucky he was. I'd go to sleep every night believing I had everything I ever wanted. But happiness has an expiration date no one warns you about. Slowly, the warmth began to fade. The late-night talks turned into long silences. The laughter disappeared. He started coming home late, saying he had extra work. I told myself it was just stress, that love didn't vanish this easily. But the truth was standing right in front of me. I just refused to see it. He stopped looking at me the same way. He stopped asking how my day was. He stopped being present. I would wait for him at dinner, the food growing cold, the candles burning out, and he would come home past midnight, smelling like perfume that wasn't mine. I told myself it was nothing. I lied to myself because the truth hurt too much. The day I found lipstick on his shirt, my world fell apart. I held it in my hand, my heart beating so hard I thought it would burst. When I asked him, he didn't even try to deny it. He just stared at me, his face empty, and said, "You're overreacting. Emily, it's not what you think." His voice was calm, cold, and distant, and that hurt more than the betrayal itself. That night, I cried until my chest ached. I remembered the boy from the cafe, the man who promised me forever, and wondered where he had gone. I blamed myself. Maybe I wasn't enough. Maybe I had changed. Maybe I had loved him too much. But love isn't supposed to feel like begging. Days turned into weeks. We started living like strangers under the same roof. He would leave early, come back late, and barely speak a word to me. I tried everything, cooking his favorite meals, leaving notes, trying to talk, but nothing worked. The love I fought for was gone, replaced by silence. One evening, I asked him if he still loved me. He didn't answer right away. He just looked at me with tired eyes and said, "I don't know." 3 words. That was all it took to shatter me completely. I realized then that sometimes love doesn't end with hate. It ends with emptiness. After that, I stopped trying. I stopped waiting for him. I started sleeping on the far side of the bed. I started pretending I didn't care. But deep inside, I was falling apart. Every time he walked out the door without saying goodbye, it felt like a small death. The final blow came when I found out he had been seeing someone else for months. A coworker. When I confronted him, he didn't apologize. He said, "I didn't mean to hurt you, but I can't keep pretending." I remember staring at him, unable to speak, realizing that the man standing in front of me wasn't the man I fell in love with. He was a stranger wearing his face. That night I packed my bags. He didn't stop me. He didn't ask me to stay. That silence told me everything I needed to know. It's been 2 years now since I walked out of that apartment. People tell me I should be over it by now. That time heals everything. Maybe it does, but sometimes love leaves scars so deep that even time can't erase them. I still think of him when it rains. I still remember his laughter echoing through our kitchen, his arms around me, his promises, but I also remember the lies, the betrayal, the emptiness. And every time I think of it all, I whisper to myself the words I never had the courage to say out loud back then. I regret marrying him, because I do. I regret the nights I waited. I regret the tears I cried. I regret giving my heart to someone who didn't know how to keep it. But most of all, I regret believing that love alone would be enough. Now, when I see couples holding hands, I smile, not because I'm bitter, but because I know better. Love isn't about forever. It's about truth, effort, and respect. Without those, even the most beautiful love story turns into a tragedy. And mine did.